So what are we setting off to do today, guys? We are setting off to remind ourselves about the 90-day planning that we did last time and some of the things that we sorted out. We're also going to, there are new people in the room, so because we brought another group in with this, so there'll be the opportunities to introduce each other as we go into our spotlights and as we do our little bit of round the room. How are we feeling today and what's good? Oh, now things moving forward by itself. Then we're going to look a little bit more about one of my favourite subjects, I have to say, which is the championing execution, the business rhythm side, because this is the bit where we really start to understand that bit, and we'll cover it a little bit as we go through the preamble, the bit between doing the strategy and the planning and actually making it happen, which is always a fairly critical thing. And then we're going to develop our takeaways around key challenges. So the format for today, I will do a little bit of wittering until about 20 past, and then we'll have our breakout spotlights, as you know, where we go around the room, and we'll each have our time in the spotlight. We'll have somewhere between sort of 15, 16 minutes each today, so that's going to be a really good amount of time. And then we'll have a wrap up. I'm not sure we need to go through the etiquette, the house rules. I think we've all seen those often enough, but you know, obviously there's this business of challenging each other and prepared to be challenged is really good. So let's have a little bit of a good news corner then. So what I'm going to suggest we do is, because I think we've got Shab and John, who are, you know, relatively new to being in with the group that Liz and I have been working with. So we go around the room and I pick you out. Just introduce who you are, what your company is, and a little bit of good news that you can share. So Rob, Mr. Early Bird, always on the ball. Let's have you first.
This is not an incentive for being on time to this meeting, you know. I get picked first time every time we do this. So I'm Rob Gibson. I'm Chief Operating Officer of Vanguard Sustainable Transport Solutions. We primarily do hydrogen fuel cell conversions for trains and rolling stock. Good news since the last meeting. It feels like it was last week, the last meeting anyway. We've taken on an intern. There we go. That's good news. Who starts in January. That's what I can say is good news for us this time around.
Excellent. Excellent. So who's going to go next? Shab, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, sure. Hi. So my name is Shabir Jacqueline. I'm a chartered accountant. I've got a practice in France and the UK. And we do company incorporation, domiciliation, taxation, bookkeeping, payroll, VAT. The type of clients we have are small to medium-sized companies. So from very small companies to good-sized companies over 100 million pound turnover.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. John.
Well, I've just finished my three-year term as the chair of a charity, interestingly. It's been an interesting 3 years. So Staffordshire Network for Mental Health is the charity. We have come out of survival mode, I think. We're kind of into a more of a growth thing, which is why I'm here, really. Good news, I guess. Today we've just been awarded a grant to help us to access people who are communities that are traditionally difficult to get to in terms of mental health. So people who have lots of mental health problems but don't necessarily come forward. And so we'll probably focus that in Stoke or Burton on Trent, one or the other, or both, depending how thinly we can spread the money, really. Yeah, so that's really good. I'm really pleased.
Brilliant. That's a good piece of news. Greta.
Hi everyone, I'm Greta, Head of PR and Communications at Digital Glue. We're a creative communications agency based over in Digbeth. Good news, I mean, at the moment I'm just trying to get through to the end of the year, so I'm struggling. But we ran 2 customer surveys this week, so this is a real sort of snapshot of at the moment good news, and got 9s and 10s out of 10 from our clients on those about understanding and delivering on their objectives. So very happy with that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Jim, how about you? There you go.
Jim Simpson, Big Bear Records, Big Bear Music, and Birmingham Jazz Festival, and Henry's Blues House. We're involved in many aspects of the jazz, blues, and related musics. Good news is we found a 50-year-old recording, and a Christmas recording, and we put out for Christmas late, of course, but after 50 years, we still managed to deliver it late. So that's part of the course.
Excellent. Well, fantastic. So what we might challenge you to do next time, because I won't ask you to do it now, is either send it to one of us, and so we can play that recording for everybody in the room. I think that would be really good to hear that. So
I think Liz has got one.
Oh, Liz has already got one. Okay. Fantastic. So we may ask Liz to sort that out for us next time. Leighton, how about you?
Hello everyone, my name's Leighton. I work for a company called Fletcher's Business Solutions. Recently our big thing is we're almost done with our website to do a new revamp going into the new year. So yeah, it's just about getting the last little bits in for now, but yeah, it's coming along well, and I'm excited for the new year.
Excellent, fantastic. And Gary, I did joke that you would be late for your own funeral.
And sorry,
just so that you know.
You're probably right there, to be fair. I've definitely heard it before. I've been waiting for a structural engineer all day, and he turned up at quarter to 2. So yeah, sod's law. Is it just a quick update on the business?
Just quick update who you are and a bit of good news.
Oh, crikey. Okay. Gary Knight from Vaysite, we're a general building firm based in Halesowen. I work throughout the Midlands and sometimes a bit further afield. Good news is, through hell or high water, I'm going to be here for the full meeting. I don't care who comes in the door. I'm stopping on for the whole meeting. So yeah, nice to be here.
Oh, Gary, I love you to bits. Oh, dear. Right. The screen, and let's have a little bit of thinking about what the theme of today is. Okay. Oh, I am so technically challenged today. Thank you. It moved at last. So today's session, championing execution, and just reminding you that our next session is the 12th of January, but before that is the Smart 90-day planning workshop on the 7th of January. It's not part of the programme, but you are invited to come along to that. That's where you can spend a good part of the day actually putting together your 90-day plan, and we will guide you and take you through that step by step. You are also invited to bring your teams along to that, because that's, you know, a really good way of bringing the teams along, getting them involved in the 90-day planning and getting them engaged sort of for the next year. So just remember that. We'll send more details out about that after the meeting, if that is something you are interested in coming along to. So we talked about this before, you know, of all the companies, only 10% are really good at both strategy and execution. 30% good at one, 30% good at the other, 30% good at neither. And they really make no progress. So it's really important to marry the things we've been talking about up to now in the first 3 sessions with this idea of what does good execution look like and how do we really make it happen. We talked last time about the Smart 90, and other than to remind you what it looks like and the thinking that you have, I know we'll have talked about this in our one-to-ones. I'm not going to go through that in any detail. But just to remind you, first page was the company one, the second page is how do you break that down more into individuals or teams to make sure that we keep everybody on track. The challenge for last time was how are you going to ensure first things first on that 90-day cycle, especially when the business is busy, you know, and we know that there'll be challenges for people to come along to the 90-day planning session in January. but it would be it's a really good thing to do. And it's about making sure that actually, if you identify your 90-day priorities and then you work out how you're going to execute them, you'll find out that you can be busy in more effective ways. I'm not going to say you'll not be busy, because, you know, you make a hole in your diary, it fills up with something else. But it's about filling it with things that are more effective for growing your business, rather than running around chasing all the weeds. We've talked a lot about, you know, the growth phases going through from the sort of 1 to the 3 to 5, the 8 to 12, and we'll make sure you get this slide, which just starts to look at some of the key challenges at the different stages of growth. And we will be talking in the last session very much about people. And of course, when we look at the report here, you know, getting dragged back into day-to-day operations, a lot of us are in that place. Attracting and hiring the right people and getting staff to think and act and take responsibility. These are things, and then even when you get up to this level, we're still talking about staff and staff again. So we will be doing quite a bit of work with that side and building effective teams as we go forward. So today we are talking really about bridging that gap. We've talked about some of the strategy and the vision making in the Smart 90, and now we're going to talk about, well, how do you make it happen? And how you make it happen is business rhythm. Okay. Business rhythm is the heartbeat of your business, and that's why we have a wonderful heartbeat little graphic there. It's the heartbeat of your business. It's how do you communicate? How do you get the teams together? How do you make sure that the information is flowing properly backwards and forwards through the organization? And how do we make sure that we keep people engaged, accountable, understanding what it is they need to be doing by when they need to do it? And essentially that is through communication, and most of the communication through business rhythm is through meetings. If you look this up, you may find other people referring to it as meeting rhythm, but quite frankly, we don't think that gives it the seriousness that it really deserves and that it really needs in order to make sure that we drive forward, because getting this right is critical. It also requires a lot of discipline. And I think a lot of us, as I go through what I'm about to talk about, will recognize what happens with business rhythm and meetings as we go forward. There's a lot of objections. I hate meetings. They take up too much time. Won't work in my business. Just an excuse to chat. We see each other anyway. That's a lot, you know, particularly with small teams. Well, we're always together. There's only a few of us. We can pass that information on. And what that fails to understand, all of those objections, are that, you know, and believe you me, you know, I've been in situations where it's bloody meetings, because they are not properly managed, they're not controlled, they're not run in a way that benefits the business. Okay, they are run in a way that just allows people to say what they want to say when they want to say it. So the business rhythm is about getting the correct balance of bringing the staff together and bringing the management teams together. It's about the correct business and meeting rhythm going through your organization. Okay, it's not about having lots of meetings, and it's not about meetings for meeting's sake. Can't stand those. The casual encounters that we all love so much and think will run our business do not, which is that peer pressure, the collective intelligence that comes from bringing people together to talk about a specific, clearly defined thing, and that opportunity for clear communication. Often the casual encounters get muddled. We don't action them properly. We don't put authority and responsibility on people. And the peer pressure to get things done that comes through having these regular meetings will help you a lot. So we've all talked about these in our one-to-ones, and we'll talk about them again as we go forward. Essentially, being the tactical meetings, the things that talk about the here and now, the things that talk about what we need to do today, tomorrow, this week, next week, as opposed to the more strategic meetings, which we talk about monthly, quarterly, and annually. So the general rule of thumb, and it's about finding the rhythm that suits you, is you've got the daily huddles, which are the sort of 15-minute stand-ups. Don't have to be daily. Don't confuse them that they need to be daily. You can have a daily huddle twice a week, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever suits you. But essentially they are short, sharp, to the point, tactical meetings, which keep that finger on the pulse, make sure that what happened yesterday, what needs to happen today, what needs to happen tomorrow. And the similar thing with the weeklies, last week, this week, next week. So we've got that very narrow horizon. We're not there to talk about things like, strategy for next year. We're keeping it quite tight. The monthlies, clearly, we're getting to a point where they're less regular. They tend to be slightly longer because we've got more things to look at. We're looking again at performance. We're looking at how things currently are. We're looking at the things that we need to address and then filter down to the weekly meetings, maybe. Quarterly, well, we talked about the 90-day planning and the importance of that. Making sure that we've got that strategy, but that we're breaking it down into those quarterly chunks. And then obviously the annual sets the direction and the priorities. And I know we've talked about that at quite length in our one-to-ones. So what we need to do is find a rhythm that works for us. We need to find that balance. So that's why we're saying you need to find your own rhythm. Each business has its own rhythm. Okay, you need to find the one that works for you. You need to have an understanding how you handle the curveballs, how you harness that collective power. So when we're talking about sorry, I'm just going to go back. When we're talking about setting these meetings and setting the rhythm and setting the understanding, we need to understand key things about what the meetings are there for. We need to understand who should be in the room, what are we there to talk about, and what are we not there to talk about, and be very clear, because that's where meetings go wrong. Meetings get hijacked and get taken on a track that is not required or that should be discussed somewhere else. So who should be there? Right people in the room. When should we meet? Once a week, once a month. How long is that meeting? Again, who attends meetings where it's scheduled for an hour and 3 hours later you're still sitting there? Now, keep it to the hour. Discipline, I've said discipline in meeting rhythm is really important. So it's the who, the where, the frequency, but make sure that these things have a purpose. So have an agenda. It's not necessarily agenda, in the traditional sense, but an understanding of everybody in the room that they know why they are there, what they are there for, what the outputs need to be. And I've had a talk with some of the people that I'm having one-to-ones with, particularly for the longer meetings. Who has a first item on an agenda that says minutes of the last meeting, or any other business. And if you observe simple rules like minutes of the last meeting should have gone out the previous week, and the assumption is that you've done what you should have done. So we don't spend the first hour of a 3-hour meeting or an hour and a half meeting going through the minutes of the last meeting. There is an assumption that things should be done, and it's the exception that they're not. And the any other business thing, any other business, as far as I'm concerned, is what somebody wants to rush something through without allowing people to think about it. So again, if you're going to have any other business on your longer term agendas, make sure that there's a cut-off time so that everybody has time to understand what the other business is and have a think about it before they come to the meeting. Any other business that comes up in a meeting should never happen. Okie dokie, that's some initial thoughts. Kevin, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's have a quick around the room. Anybody want to sort of have a quick share or a quick thought on what I've just talked about and what we talked about in our one-to-ones about business rhythm before we get into spotlights? Anybody have a comment? Oh, everybody's quiet this afternoon, aren't they?
It's one thing, I was speaking with Liz last week, I think it was, wasn't it? We've rejigged our weekly directors meeting agenda, and we ran that for the first time this morning, actually, and it ran a lot smoother by putting a lot more boundaries in place because before we were just running through a tracker of all the projects we've got, and you end up getting into a detailed discussion about a particular project and spend 80% of the meeting talking about that. But actually, no, we've kind of put that entire section down to 20 minutes for all of it, and it works really well. It worked well. It did this morning anyway, so it's good.
That's brilliant. That's really good to hear. Excellent.
That is good, and it's a classic example. Sometimes we need a reset, don't we? Sometimes we need a reset and a rethink. We don't always get it right. And I'll give you for example, we do something called an in-flight checklist, and as a team we ran it. And one of the things we identified was that we'd allowed our business rhythm to get out of kilter. Each one of us individually identified that business rhythm wasn't quite where it needed to be. So we had a sit down and a think, and we've changed the way we do things to make it more effective. Anybody have any other quick comments on the business rhythm?
The only thing, this is particularly interesting at the moment because we've got the work from home guidance again. I feel like we've just got back into a certain rhythm of doing things back in person, and now we're sort of having to split it again. We've got some people who are still in the office, some people who are at home, so we're sort of having to teach ourselves again how to get back into that sort of rhythm. So I might have some challenges around that I want to talk about later.
Oh, I was just going to ask Leighton, because I know you don't mind me saying, Leighton, I know when we spoke in our session, you've got a really good rhythm, haven't you? You've got the 3 days a week, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you also do the hybrid, don't you, between people at home and people in the office?
Yeah, so basically the way we set it out is Monday meetings, there's one where we outline what we're doing for the week, the tasks at hand. What we usually do is we usually have a whole business one with everyone in the business, and then what we'll do is we'll then split that down into different sectors too. So we'll have a whole one, and then I'll go to marketing, for instance, and then to sales, set out all the tasks for the week. Wednesday is our catch-up day to see how everyone's getting on, if anything needs been doing, if anything needs help doing. And then Friday's usually where we see where we're at, if we've completed it, what tasks need more work, what tasks have been finished, that kind of thing. Yeah, we've got most of our workers work from home as well. So most of the meetings we do are over Zoom and that kind of stuff. But I think the 3-day structure for us at the minute is what's been working the most for us, without a doubt.
Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah. One of the sort of key tip, and I don't know if any of the, I think we've all been guilty of it, I've certainly seen it quite a lot, is, when you get that situation where it's, oh, well, I'm not going to be available for that meeting, so shall we bother with it? Shall we have it? Shall we not cancel it? Shall we move it? Shall we move it? And one of the things that Kevin knows I'm really very hot on is, if you're having a meeting and there's 3 or 4 of you in the meeting room and one of you can't make it, it's not about the individual. The meeting's happening for a reason. There's a purpose behind it, and there's a need for it in order to run the business effectively. If one person can't make it, the meeting still goes ahead. It's that level of discipline, because once you've allowed it to happen once, it can happen over and over and over again. And before you know it, you've lost the rhythm, you've lost the heartbeat, you've lost the purpose, and everybody starts to abuse the system. So it is about, that one of the most challenging things about business rhythm is the idea of the discipline behind it to make it happen and to keep it where it should be. Okie dokie. I'm hoping you're all seeing me okay. I'm having slight challenges with my internet.
Can I just add something? I know I said I wouldn't, but
yep.
This is one of those things that we can all go, yeah, I get this. It's meetings, isn't it? And we can really just think that we've got it sorted or not. What we see with the majority of businesses that we work with is that they've all got a business rhythm. We've all got a meeting rhythm, business rhythm, because otherwise we wouldn't have got where we've got to. We wouldn't have survived this long in our businesses. But what we find is that generally is operational and tactical, and it is about what Rob was talking about. It's about what particular project or that client, and it's not marrying the longer term things, the 90-day priorities. So if you think about it in conjunction with your 90-day planning. This is about helping to ensure that we keep those plates spinning, as Louise was saying, but also making sure we're moving forwards in the right direction, rather than getting towards it to the end of the year and just thinking, well, we've kept the lights on and we've kept busy, but actually, have we really progressed the business forwards to where we're trying to get to? So that's one key thing certainly about this. So it's worth spending the time getting that business rhythm right for your business. And of course, one of the other things that it does, not only does it keep people on track and helps from that consistency of delivery and all of those things, and I can see Louise has just dropped off with her internet, but she'll be back no doubt in a second, so I'll just keep talking. But one of the other things that it does is it means that people know and can be directed to bringing things up at the right point. So if somebody interrupts you during the week or interrupts somebody else during the week and says, okay, you know, this has come up or whatever else, it might be that it's appropriate to say, right, fantastic. That goes on to the section in our weekly meeting where we're going to be talking about some of the things that we need to think about a bit more, or maybe it goes on to the monthly meeting. But instead of it then being taking up your time during the week, and we get sucked back into that day to day and just delivering what needs to be done, we've got a way of in a way parking it, directing people so that we can deal with these things in the appropriate forum when we've got the right people around as well to make sure that we discuss it properly. Does that make sense? Good. Liz.
Yeah, I was also going to say, I think one of the other things is once you're in that rhythm, that it just creates an atmosphere of trust as well in the business, because your team know that every day or every 3 days or every week, what they say is going to be taken on board and it's going to be moved forward. There's nothing worse if you're an employee and you go, oh, I've mentioned this to my manager or my boss or whatever, and they go, oh yeah, we're going to talk about it, we're going to deal with it, and then it never happens. So this just creates, it's not only is it got lots of practical operational benefits, but it's also got a cultural team trust element to it, or benefit to it as well. And I think that's as important as the operational side, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, brilliant. Good. Okay, so Louise is just coming back in, and then I think what I'm going to do is stop the recording now. So we just record that first section for anybody that couldn't make it, so they can catch up, but we won't continue to record.
I actually can't believe that we're actually talking about 2022. I just don't know where this year's gone. It's kind of flown by. But the next session is in 2022. It's on the 12th of January. We'll be arranging the one-to-ones with you to make sure. And the focus for that will be cash and cash acceleration strategies. And actually, there's some really interesting thinking there. Some of it builds on what we talked about in the value builder. But there's some really interesting thinking there that I hope will challenge your thoughts as to, you know, what cash actually is and where you find it and how you actually make sure that we're using it in the organization and rolling it over as quickly as possible. We mentioned the Smart 90 workshop at the very beginning. You know, please see if you can make time in your diaries for that. It runs from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. And we will take you through step by step your 90-day plan for the next 90 days. I can assure you from the people that come with it to it on a regular basis, it'll be one of the best sessions you have. And as we said before, we're opening that up so that if you have a team or want to bring your team, you can do that to that session. The way we run them is remote, so they're online and virtual, but if you bring a team, you will get to sit in a room with your team to work on this session by session. And we keep this rolling throughout the day. So let us know if that is something you would like to be involved with, because I'll need to send you one of these wonderful booklets to work through, and I'll need to know who your team members are so we can make sure they get an invitation. Don't forget the LinkedIn group, and don't forget the peer networking portal, because that's where you will find all the resources for the next time we meet. And I will make a point of sending out an email just to remind you and give you the link again. But that Peer Networks portal will have opened up the next set of information for you to work on. Okay, so the challenge for you for this session until we meet again, as it were, is what are you going to do differently to champion that execution through improving your business rhythm? So what will you do in that area to help drive progress forward? And of course, one of the things you might do is attend the Smart 90 as part of your quarterly planning. So that's the next session. And that really is all I have to say today, except enjoy your Christmas break for those of us that are having one. Happy Christmas, and I'm wishing you all the very best for the new year. See you on the other side. Kevin, anything you want to add? And Liz?
Fantastic, but good session. Echo all those thoughts from Louise. One other date for your diary. 2nd of March is a long way away, but what we're looking at doing is a social event for all of the people that have been on the cohorts that we've been involved in running. So that, you know, there's five different cohorts, and we think the 2nd of March is the likely date, probably a lunchtime get together, something like that. So if you fancy that idea, it'd be great. Maybe just pencil it in your diaries now if you could, but we'll of course get the proper invitations out later.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for being thoroughly engaged today. And as I said, happy Christmas, and is it Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year, or Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year? I don't know. Have fun.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Christmas.
Thanks, cheers.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. See you all soon. Bye.